Hey guys, welcome back to the page. Thank you for being here today. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some advice that I would have given to my younger self. Maybe I even got this advice and I just didn't follow it, but maybe some things that I wish that I had followed. And this is just in hopes that young men or young women will hear this video. Hopefully it will help guide you in some way. And I just want to say as well that even if you are not young, even if you're my age or older, what is exciting is that it's never too late to start again, and it's never too late to just say, hey, I'm actually going to make new decisions going forward. I'm actually going to recreate my life now. I saw a friend post on social media about how growing up she ate terribly in her house, like junk food all the time for breakfast, etc. And now she's like one of the healthiest holistic people that I know. And she was just talking about how, just because your parents did something one way or you did things a certain way, it doesn't mean that you have to continue it that way, which I think is super exciting. So if nothing else, at least we know that we can change some things going forward. But yeah, this is not an exhaustive list. I mean, there's so much more that I could say, but these are some things that kind of came up for me right away. So yeah, let's jump into it. And if you are new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a Christian life coach and content creator. And if you are not new, welcome back. Thank you for your support on this channel. I am feeling pretty tired right now, so don't mind my low energy, but here we are and we are going to get into it. Okay, so in no specific order, one thing I would have done when I was younger is start a business. Start a business young, even if it fails, just to get experience, but you also never know what's going to happen. Also, if you start a business young, even if it fails, at least you've gotten a lot of experience under your belt so that once you try to start another business, maybe focused on something that you're more passionate about, the likelihood of it succeeding could be a lot higher because of your experience. There's this girl, I don't know her name. She's a popular YouTuber, but she started a jewelry line when she was, I think, around 15 years old, and it has done so well. And this is something she started at that age, and then I don't know how old she is now, 10 plus years later, and it seems her business is really successful. So I would say to think about, if you were to, let's say, create one product, something that you're really passionate about, what would it be? Or whichever gifts and talents that you have, whichever things that you are passionate about, you can use AI like ChatGPT. I know that it can be so overused, and I know that it's not always used for good, but you can basically share with AI, here are all the things that I know how to do, that I have skill sets in. Here are the things that I'm passionate about. Can you help me think of some business ideas of something that I could start? And it doesn't mean like ChatGPT is not the Holy Spirit, it's not God. So, you always have to pray on the idea that you're going to do, because you don't want to be working in vain, basically, and have all of your hard work, working towards something that God never called you to do. But you could get some ideas of something that you're like, hey, I actually want to start this. And again, with the help of AI, starting a business this sounds like this is sponsored or something. Starting a business is so much easier. When I started my businesses, this was not a thing. Everything was done from scratch. And I'm just saying, if you're a young person and you can't afford to have a business coach, you can certainly use AI to help you to get started. And just think about the fact that, businesses take time to grow. I don't know how many years it was into my business that it became what I consider to be successful. Obviously, there's highs and lows, but it took time. And it also was God's timing of when it was actually going to take off. And most importantly, to know that I had heard him, that this was the right path that he wanted me to go on, and that I dedicated my business under the lordship of Jesus Christ and asked him to show me how he wanted me to do things. But the thing is that if you think about your future self, and maybe you're 15 now, and by the time you're 20, you have a really successful business. Maybe it's just successful enough that it's a good income on the side for you. And especially if you're a woman who wants to have children, and maybe you want to be a stay-at-home mom, it is great to consider having a job that you're able to work from home and eventually maybe delegate and have someone else run it for you, while you're spending more time with your children, and so on and so forth. On a different topic, I would say try your best not to do anything permanent, specifically, I'm talking about permanent to your body before you are 25 years old. So I'm talking about things like tattoos, waxing your eyebrows off, because when you wax your eyebrows off, they generally don't grow back. Even like laser hair removal on certain parts of your body, plastic surgery, which for me, I wouldn't recommend, period. As you all know, I have lots of videos on how I had breast implant surgery and I wanted to have all these different things done, and I would have done it. And I know that I would have had so many regrets now. Unfortunately, I'm on my phone right now, so I can't look this up, but I know that there is actual science that talks about how your brain is not fully developed until after 25 years old. And I think sometimes for males, it's 28 years old. I personally, in myself and in a lot of the people around me, I noticed a shift after I turned 25 years old, where a lot of the decisions that I made then they just made more sense. I felt that I was making the decisions from a more secure and confident place. So again, just to give an example, like I waxed my eyebrows off. I don't know how they grew back. It is a miracle. I have all these bald spots now in them, but just things like that, like doing things that are trendy, but that are permanent to your body, because you don't know how you're going to change later on. Even things like, and this is a little TMI, but laser hair removal. This is speaking to the woman, but it was like super trendy to remove all of your hair. And then, maybe 10 years later, you're going to be like, actually, I don't want to have a Brazilian done. I want to have like a French style done, for example. And then you're like, I removed all of my hair. So just different things like that are permanent. Just consider maybe waiting until after you're 25 years old. And maybe you can, do other things that are not going to be so permanent. For myself, I removed all of the tattoos that I got before I was 25 years old. I just didn't resonate with them anymore. And this kind of goes along with just doing things that are really drastic based off of trends or things that you're seeing in society. When I was in high school, I thought that I was way too skinny. I definitely had body dysmorphia, but I thought I was so skinny and I was so desperate to put on weight. And I feel like I messed with my hormones and with my metabolism because of how I exercised and how much I was eating. And it was just like, I should have just let my body just develop naturally how it was supposed to. So again, just not giving into peer pressure to do things to change your body or do anything drastic, especially before brain is fully developed. But I would even say like really having a relationship with the Lord, because you may even make different decisions after you're 25 years old. But when you're really hearing from the Holy Spirit and praying about every decision you make, just ask God, like, should I get this done? Should I do this? And really seek Him and see what He has to say. If possible, I would recommend not getting social media. I know that I got MySpace when I was 13 years old. And regardless of if they are inappropriate photos or appropriate photos, I just feel like looking back, you're going to be like, why did I put photos of myself up on the internet when I was 12 years old, 15 years old, 17 years old, whatever age, partying, doing whatever. So part of it, I guess, is putting pictures up on the internet of yourself that are, going to be out there possibly forever because they're on the internet. But the other thing is just falling into that spiral of being on social media and everything that comes with it. I had a friend from my old job. She was maybe like 7 years older than me, and she never got on social media. And I thought that was so amazing that she never ended up getting MySpace. She never got Facebook. She never got Instagram. And I was like, I just love that for you, that you never had to enter that world. And you're probably never going to. And you really don't need to. I am so happy for those people that just never put themselves out there on social media. Obviously, here I am on social media. I would say specifically for personal. If you're running a business, I know to a degree, which is also what I am doing, I know to a degree you need to use social media, but at least when it's your business, a lot of the times you can have, someone running that for you, or you don't have to share the personal details of your life, which kind of goes along with not putting yourself out on social media. It's about the photos, it's about the personal details that maybe later you're like, I wish that I just didn't put that out there. I know that it's really, really, really hard. And I know for myself, when I was younger, nobody could have talked me out of getting off of social media. But once again, I just feel like the more that you press into your relationship with God, the more that you feel secure in who you are, and you feel less likely to feel like you're missing out, less likely to have to be accepted by everyone around you. And even if someone else thinks, that's weird, a lot of things on my list are going to seem weird or unpopular because maybe they're things that nobody else is doing, but your future self might really thank you. I would have joined something like a school of ministry. So I'm in the Toronto area and there's a church, Catch the Fire, where they have a school of ministry. I did not attend it, but it was something like where, I don't know if it's a year that you stay there on campus and you learn about the prophetic and all these different things. But I would have definitely invested in doing something like that during one of my summer breaks, or, whatever, when you're living at home with your parents and you don't have your career yet. However, it's still not too late to join some type of school of ministry, part-time, online, etc. But I definitely would have invested in doing some type of intensive prophetic ministry or something like that of some sort. I would have not bought a car brand new. And even now, my opinion on buying vehicles brand new now is just like, why? At least that's how I feel for myself. Unless it's an amazing price, because you know that your car depreciates the moment you drive it off of the lot. I just feel like spending so much money on a brand new car that's going to depreciate, and specifically doing modifications to it that's going to depreciate, for me personally, I found to be a big waste of money. And I'm like, why didn't I just buy a used car instead of this brand new car that took me this many years to pay off? I bought my dream car, which is a Fiat, a couple years ago I found it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was just so much cheaper. So yeah, I just wouldn't really recommend that. If possible, I would have saved as much money as I could. And aside from just savings, I would have invested it. And you don't need to have a lot of money to do this. So first of all, okay, I will say when I was living at my parents' house and I was working a corporate job, I probably saved 80% of my income. Some things I did well with it, some things I did poorly. So with saving so much money, I did buy a brand new car, which I probably could have bought a used one. I did make a little bit of investments, but I also used that money to do the whole plastic surgery thing, the breast implants, which I've talked about before. So that was not a good investment. But basically what I'm trying to say is, if you're living at home, or if you're able to, whatever money you are able to save, like if you're at home and you're able to get away with saving 80 or 90% of your income, I would highly recommend to do that. Your future self is really going to thank you. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying, as much money that you can put away, I would highly recommend to do that. I know that Dave Ramsey has a lot of great books on financial literacy that apparently are highly recommended. And you can even calculate it for yourself. Even if you're able to just put away $200 a month and you times that by 12 and see how much money you would have by the end of the year and how much money you would have in 5 years. Or if you're able to put away like a huge chunk of your income and looking at what are some things that you can cut out so that you can actually put that amount away. And then aside from just saving that money and just having it sit in a regular savings account, now again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I would find someone to help you with this. I worked in the past with a company called Primerica, and so Adam and I invested our money through them, and our money actually grew pretty significantly in a couple of years. So this is in some sort of investment account. The other thing we've done is we've invested our money into gold before, and it also grew. So, just finding somebody that you trust, that is a professional, that can help you find some ways that you can invest and your money can grow. And then the other thing is, I know that it's very difficult to get into the housing market, not even just as a young person, even now, but something I did when I was young, I was 21, because I was saving so much of my income living at home. I invested in a pre-construction property. So you only had to put like a very small percentage down right away. And then the following year, a small percentage, and then the following year. So it was about a 3-year project. And then the condo or the townhouse or whatever it is, it's just so much more affordable. But of course, you have to actually make sure that you qualify and that you're going to qualify upon closing. And I know that, things change. So someone listening to this video, however many years or months from now, things might change. But that was a very easy way to get into the housing market, because otherwise it was not affordable, especially not at 21 years old, to have that type of down payment. And I think commonly, so many of us don't have a down payment for a home. And so investing in something that was pre-construction. So again, this is a project that has not even gone underway yet, but that you know you're going to have your home in like 3 years or 5 years, whatever it is. That was really the way that I was able to get into the housing market at a young age. All right, a couple things I would have done differently in terms of wedding dresses, rings, weddings, things like that. So I would not have gotten a real diamond for my wedding ring. I did get a lab grown diamond, which is like one step lower, I guess you could say. I think they're all great. I would have probably gotten, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but a moissanite. Why does that sound like the word moist? Moissanite. Might be saying that wrong. I'm going to put the name here. But it just depends on what you want. For me personally, I would rather have, because I like, sparkly things. So I would rather have like a bigger, nicer looking diamond that is fake than having a real diamond that is like so tiny that it's not visible because it's so expensive. So I personally would have gotten something like that. If you care about sparkly, if you care about diamonds, I would have gotten a moissanite, whatever. Probably would have just gotten like an eternity band or something like that because those are really pretty. Probably would have gone on Facebook Marketplace and gotten a secondhand ring because they are so inexpensive on Facebook Marketplace. Of course, you want to make sure that you get the certificate of, the credentials of the ring and make sure that it is legitimate. But so many people that have gotten engaged or whatever reason changed their mind, they're not going to get their money back from the jeweler. So the only thing they can do is get probably a quarter of the price back for the ring. So I probably would have gotten something off of, honestly, Facebook Marketplace. And maybe a lot of people have done that on here. Or if you don't care about like a diamond, if you don't even like the look of it, which you do not have to, just be okay. If you're okay with just having like a gold band and you're like, I really don't care, I would say just don't let society make you feel like you need to have that. Because at the end of the day, it's you and your husband that are going to be paying that off for the next several years. Along with that would be the wedding dress. So again, I would honestly go on Facebook Marketplace and find a used wedding dress because people are selling really nice, expensive dresses for a quarter of the price. Or going on Etsy and you can find a beautiful dress for $200, $500, things like that. You could honestly even rent a dress. I know a lot of people do that. You could probably rent a really beautiful, expensive dress, though the cost sometimes of renting them is like the cost of just buying a really nice one off of Etsy for $200 or $500. Along with that would be the wedding. So if you're someone who you do not want to have a big wedding, honestly, I would just say do the wedding the way that you want to do your wedding, that you and your husband want to do it. If you don't want to have a big wedding, if you want to have your parents and your siblings there and get married in the backyard and order Chipotle and all dress up, why not? Like, who honestly cares? Or as long as it's what you want, or even like eloping. Sometimes I'm like, I wouldn't have done this just because of like the closeness of my family, but again, totally depends on what you want to do. Pray on it, of course, as well. But I just feel like an experience, like going to Europe and eloping and making that a trip with your partner and not feeling like you need to have this huge wedding if it's something that it's not even your style and it's something you're not into. Okay, this is one of the most important ones, and this would be to foster a true relationship with God. And this includes finding a church. So just finding a great church near you. Usually I recommend to just find like a non-denominational church unless you have a denomination already. But a lot of non-denominational churches, I feel like a lot of them do things like small groups and a lot of different events where you get to know the community and you get to do life with people. Just keeping in mind that people are not God and there's going to be Christians that are going to disappoint you, but don't let that push you away from God. And I feel like once you get into a good church and you find a good community, you kind of just do life with those people and it changes the things that you get involved in, as opposed to if your friends only come from school. And that's not necessarily bad, but sometimes if their values are not aligning with yours, then maybe they're going to be getting into things something that you wouldn't do if you had made friends from church. And I'm not saying that friends from church don't get into those types of things, but maybe the likelihood is that you might find people that their morals and values align with yours. They're not going to pull you into the party scene or different things that you might regret when you get older. But basically just making it a priority to spend time with God and get to know him. And that really is just as simple as every single day, every single night before you go to bed, just getting your journal out and just praying and asking God what he wants to share with you, and like reading a chapter of your Bible a day, or finding a good Bible study podcast For example, there's a podcast called The Bible Recap by Tara Lee Cobble. So I just feel like doing a Bible plan with a podcast can help you to actually understand what you're reading, because I feel like if you don't understand what you're reading, that's a big deterrent to continue reading. But that it can be as simple as downloading the Bible recap, following that plan, and spending your designated time with God every day, even if it just starts with 5 minutes. Because ultimately, life on this earth is so short, and it really is just about eternal impact. It's about eternity. It's about where we're going after this. And then a huge bonus to that is, as you seek God first, all of these other things will be added on to you. You will get clarity as you pray and ask Him what job you should take, who you should marry, who you should be friends with, what church you should go to. And it doesn't mean your life's going to be perfect, but it's going to be guided, and you're going to be in God's will as you seek Him and follow Him with all of your decisions. Okay, this is a really important one that nobody ever told me about, and this is learn to regulate your nervous system and regulate your emotions. I cannot talk all about that in this video right now because it's too long, but just simply look up online ways to regulate your nervous system and pick a couple of practices and do them several times a day, even just starting with that. You can also probably take a really cheap course on how to regulate your nervous system. I know that I did that, how to work on regulating your emotions just by processing your emotions, reframing, different things like that. Obviously, I can't go into everything on this video, but if you just look up online, like how to regulate your emotions, how to regulate your nervous system, this is so key, because the health issues that I have been recovering from and healing from are due primarily to me not knowing how to regulate my nervous system and having a dysregulated nervous system and a dysregulated stress response probably since I was in the womb, but at least since I was a little child that I'm aware of. And I did not even know about this until only a couple of years ago. Obviously, I heard about regulate your nervous system, but unless you go through something where you're aware that you are so dysregulated, you're not going to be very motivated to work on it. I will just quickly say though, it is similar to exercise where, because I used to roll my eyes at stuff like, oh, just make sure you're doing your breathing properly or your meditation and things like that. I used to honestly roll my eyes at a lot of things like that because I thought it's really not that effective, but it really is. The thing is that it just takes consistency and repetition. Essentially, it's like if you went on a walk one time and then came home and weighed yourself and said like, oh, I didn't lose any weight, so exercise doesn't work, I'm not going to do it again. Or even exercising for 1 week and saying, I don't really look that different, so I don't think it did anything. Nervous system regulation and regulating your emotions is very similar, where you need to continue working away at it. You don't just do it one time. You will notice the effects after maybe 21 days plus. But anyways, this is actually a perfect time for me to plug one of my own courses because we're on this topic. So I will just put the link up here, but the course is not out at this current time, unless when you watch this video it is, but it's going to be coming out in late 2025, early 2026, but it's called Slow by Design. And in it, I talk a lot about nervous system regulation and emotional regulation. And it's basically learning to live the way that God designed us to live. So if you're interested in this and you want to know more, if you click on the link above, you can put your email in so that you'll be notified once it does come out. And then also anyone who signs up first, like put your email in to say you're interested, I will be sending out a discount code once the course comes out. But anyways, highly recommend, because this is going to save you as a parent when you feel like you are going to snap at your children, but you've learned to regulate your emotions and your nervous system, and so you're not as quick to snap. It can save you in your marriage with your partner. It can save your health all around. 10 out of 10 recommend. All right, I'm taking quite a long time on each one of these, so I'm going to try and talk a little bit faster, or I'm going to try to make them a little bit more concise. So along with that goes, get yourself a life coach, or get yourself a therapist, or get yourself a counselor. All of these things, they are not, I mean, we all have trauma. We all have things that we have gone through. We all need a professional to work with. This is something I've been doing since I was 12 years old. I can't recommend enough. As you guys know, I do life coaching. I have 2 coaches that work with NowBloom. This was actually not supposed to be a plug. This wasn't supposed to be the next thing. You don't have to work with somebody through my company. Just please find someone, pray about it. And if they're not the right fit, just keep looking for someone until they feel like they're the right fit to help you to work through your past trauma and forgiveness, all these types of things, to become healthier, to become more self-aware, to become more compassionate, understand other people, be less offended, heal, etc., all those things. And especially if receiving inner healing and deliverance is so important, which brings in the God and the spiritual aspect of it. Highly, highly recommend. Next thing would be, as far as it depends on you, be at peace with everyone around you. So obviously I'm getting this from scripture, but don't burn bridges, basically. Don't burn bridges. That's what I have to say. Something I would have done differently is not dated around and not slept around. I would have waited for my husband. 10 out of 10 recommend. I did not do that. I wish that I did that. It's so easy in high school to get caught up in the drama and in the relationships and wanting to be accepted. But at the end of the day, if you picture your life 10 years from now, let's say you're 15 years old, you picture your life 10 years from now, it's going to be so different. Like, you could be married with your husband, with your children, and you might look back and say, why was I getting so caught up in all the drama? Why was I sleeping around? Blah, blah, blah. Now, I know that there are people that marry their high school sweethearts, which is amazing, but a lot of the time it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen for you. I'm just saying that if this is the person that God has for you, and if you're aligned on the same values and they're following the Lord as well, then there shouldn't be any pressure to have to do things before marriage. And there should be an understanding of waiting and knowing that if this is the person that God has for you, that you're going to be together for the rest of your life. Both my husband and I, and honestly, I'm going to say strongly, every single Christian that I know, married, both men and women, have said they wished that they did not sleep around. These are people who got involved, like myself, in the party scene, partying, traveling, doing all sorts of things. And it was not worth it. Yeah, it was not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth it. I can't say it enough. I cannot say it enough. It's not worth it. That's all I have to say. If you know that people who are a lot older than you can attest to this and are saying the same thing, really all that happens is it's stuff that you have to unpack afterwards. It's things that you have to unlearn. It's memories that you need to forget. And this is not to make anyone feel bad or guilty or ashamed if you've already indulged in these things. Like I said, I have indulged in all of them. I'm just saying that it's going to make your marriage easier if you didn't open all of these doors. Okay, next is not buying cheap clothes, not buying into the fad things, just investing slowly in quality pieces. And I don't even mean spending a lot of money. I mean Facebook Marketplace, thrifting, finding the brands that you like, and finding staple pieces like a nice trench coat or a nice blazer or a nice pair of Levi's, a nice pair of leather boots, like things, a nice old Italian vintage purse or something like that that you know you can use for years, as opposed to looking at all the money that is dumped and wasted, which I did, on all of the fad clothing and all the cheap clothing. This kind of goes hand in hand with decorating your home. Something I would have done differently with decorating my home would be not feeling rushed to have it decorated, not feeling rushed to fill my home because I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have people over soon. I want to host a housewarming party and I want my house to look done and polished, but instead just being okay with like the walls being bare as I slowly figure out what I really like and what I want to have in my home and not be pressured to just fill it with things. So again, these are some things I did and some things I didn't do. So something that I did do is I got a job very young. When I was 13, I started working at my dad's office. And then once I was able to work when I was 14, I started working at grocery stores. And I always had a job that I would go to after school. I was always working in the summers. And I just feel like this really helped with my work ethic and to understand the value of money. I honestly didn't know anyone else my age that was working when they were 13, even sometimes 14 or 15. I know I was one of the only one amongst my friends that always had a job, and my parents had me get a job, and not that I was doing anything specific with that money or necessarily needed that money, but again, it was just about the value of money and having that work ethic. Plus, if you're working, you can also invest that money into your business if you decide that you want to start a business. Okay, so for girls, this is something I would have done differently. I would have not used my last name on things like my email or usernames, or if you're on social media, I would have used my first name and my middle name. I know a lot of girls do this, but I did not do this. And because eventually you're probably going to get married. There's a good chance. You're going to take your husband's last name, and now you need to change all of these handles. It's really annoying. Even my business email had my maiden name in it, and I had to change that. And so, yeah, I would basically just use my first name and my middle name for women so that you have to avoid changing your last name on all these things. Obviously, legal documents, that's a different thing, but anything else that is optional, that's definitely what I would have done. Okay, so the last two things that I'm going to share here would be doing something uncomfortable that is confidence building, such as joining. I wouldn't not have done this, but I did join improv classes. So something like taking dance classes, joining the theater, something that will take you out of your comfort zone in obviously like a safe and healthy way that will help with your confidence, especially in an area that maybe you feel you need growth in. So for myself, improv was definitely one of those things. Maybe for you, you are already very outgoing and you don't need to take public speaking or improv classes. Maybe it's something different, like maybe it's joining a gym class, or maybe it's doing pottery, I don't know, but just something that will get you out of your comfort zone in a healthy and a positive way, and something you are like, oh, I feel too nervous to do that, but once you do it, you start to gain confidence. I know for myself, I felt like uncomfortable in my body, so I was like, I have to take dance classes, and I felt uncomfortable with my voice, so I took a lot of public speaking. And going along with that, which is probably going to be one of my last points for this video, would be learning a language and or continuing on with some sort of skill or class that you're already doing. So let's say you did dance for your whole life, like not giving up dance. Or let's say if you played piano your whole life, not giving up piano. If you know how to speak a language, but you're kind of letting it slip. But again, it's never too late to start again at any age. My friend told me the other day that his dad took piano lessons, I think he said in his 70s or in his 80s. So at any point you can pick up an instrument, you can pick up a language, you can pick up a skill. But I would recommend as early as you can to pick those things up because you will not regret it later, and it might give you many different opportunities. So that's my list for today. I'm sure there are many other things that I could think of, but I just really want to encourage you that no matter what age you're at, no matter what mistakes you've made in your past, you can always begin again. Trust me, I have a lot of things that I wish that I did differently, that I did not pick up, but it's never too late to learn. And what's also exciting too is if you're a mom or a dad right now, there's a lot of things that you can learn alongside your children for the first time. For example, I saw someone on social media the other day say that she never learned to ride a bike, and she learned alongside her child just recently how to ride a bike with her child. I never learned how to properly swim. I can learn with my son. I never learned how to properly braid hair. Well, I'm going to learn with my daughter. I did not continue learning French in school like I should have, but I can learn with my son. So there are a lot of things that you can learn with your children, or you can just do on your spare time, or you can even find a friend and you can start to do them together. But anyways, it's not just about picking up new skills. It's not just about these things. It's also about, even if you're doing some things on this list that you're like, you know what, yeah, I want to find a church, or I don't want to just be dating around anymore, or I want to get to know God, or I want to stop buying all the fad clothes. Now, again, you don't have to do these things because I'm saying them. I'm just sharing things that I wish that I had done differently, and from my perspective, what would have been helpful, investing in quality things, etc. But it's never too late to change. As I said, a lot of these things that I did, now I'm just slowly starting to turn them around. So that's all that I'm going to share for today. As you guys know, we do have another semester coming out for NowBloom Academy starting September of 2025. I'm going to put the link up here. If you're interested in becoming a Christian life coach, everything is up here. If you're interested in working with a Christian life coach, we have Coach Mina, we have Coach Misha. Everything is above, everything will be below. And that's all for today. Thank you for liking this video, for subscribing, if you feel led to share it, and most importantly, if you would like to comment below and share something that maybe you wish you had done differently, or if you resonate with any of the things that I shared. But yeah, that's it for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!